Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to tackle the latest developments in the Israeli genocide war in Gaza and the efforts exerted to put an end to the bloodshed. And yesterday it was another strike, I think the 8th or something, since the 6th of July, on a school where Palestinian civilians were taking refuge. And nothing, it seems, is going to stop Israel from what they are doing, despite the fact that, for example, the word madness was used yesterday by EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell when he said stop the madness in Gaza. And using these words is brand new, if I may call it this way, but because the real image of Israel and the real intentions of Israel, the occupation side of Israel, really is shown in front of the whole world to shed more light on what's going on and the latest developments in the occupied Palestinian territories. We are very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Ayman Mousharafa, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much for being with us, Ambassador Mousharafa.
Thanks very much. Good morning, and good morning to the viewer.
Thank you, sir. Let me start with this because this is the latest strike on a school, Khadija school in Gaza, and the martyrdom of scores of Palestinians, mostly women and children. And in fact, it was, I'm not going to say a little bit surprising, but the usage of these words from diplomatic figures like the EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell when he said stop the madness, now it's expected and of course accepted to find such words describing the situation. How do you see this as a development on the international community side?
Well, it is not a development. This madness has been going on since around 10 months. The Israeli genocide is going on and on. No place is safe. Most of the victims are women and children. And the international community is calling it madness. The Security Council, the General Assembly, the ICG, every core of the international community is condemning severely the madness of the Israelis, but nothing is going on. No action, no severe action is taken to stop the madness, to enforce Israel to stop this madness. Well, words are fine, it's good, but we need action, severe action. Every day, since 10 months, the victims are mounting. I mean, the suffering of the Israeli and the Palestinian people is going on, and nobody is just enforcing or trying to enforce a Security Council resolution to stop this madness. Everything is words, but we didn't see a real swift action.
And if I'm going to compare this with the way Benjamin Netanyahu was received in Congress and the way he addressed Congress and all the fake statements he said, all the what I can call it, arguments, excuses, explanation, you name it. How do you see the address of Benjamin Netanyahu in the Congress, in front of the Congress, and his meetings with all those top figures in America, whether it's former or the one who already decided not to enter the presidential campaign, Biden or Kamala Harris, who replaced him, or even Donald Trump?
Well, I know it's a shame, really, to receive such a personality in the Congress. The Congress is a house of democracy, the house of principle, and it stands always for the American democracy, the American principle. How a person who is demanding from the ICG and committed such crimes would be received in the Congress, and given the opportunity of around 50-minute speech, and after that received by top American politicians. I mean, others in similar position would be even banned to enter the United States of America and have a visa sanction. but receiving Netanyahu, and as you said, Netanyahu is an eloquent person he knows how to talk to the American lawmaker. He knows how to lie. He knows how to put excuse after excuse to justify what they are doing. I mean, it's a shame, and it's a stain in the history of the American democracy.
Amen to that, sir. But also, when it comes to the coming American presidential elections, and to know now it's between Kamala Harris and Benjamin Netanyahu. How do you see this as between Trump and, a bigger pardon, between Trump and Kamala Harris? The coming period, or the coming American administration, do you think it's going to make a difference, or it's going to be the same? Because when it comes to the relation, or to consider all the time America as the closest backer and ally to Israel, after what's going on, is it going to continue being the same with all the accusations from the international community side and all of the decisions which were taken, as you kindly mentioned, by international organizations?
Well, you know, traditionally the American election is an auction of pledges towards Israel. Every politician to win his seats is giving the maximum pledges and auction of pledges that he is the most closest ally. He will keep and uphold the Israeli superiority, the Israeli mastership of power in the Middle East. It is, I mean, the voice of the AIPAC who speaks, really, and the might of the AIPAC in the election, since they are controlling the media and the financial center who is financing really this American campaign, which is, I see another thing in the American democracy. You don't get elected on the blood of other people, unfortunately.
But, sir, I'm asking these questions because, unfortunately, with what took place yesterday and during the past 9 months, the daily confrontations on the Lebanese border and the exchange of fire between the Israeli side and Hezbollah in Lebanon, this is a threat to have an expanded conflict. And this was of the threats, I think, targeting the whole world, the whole region. Nobody is going to escape this, and Egypt warned against that more than once and in all occasions and on all levels, whether presidential level by President Sisi or our top diplomats. How do you see this as another threat?
As I told you before in several interviews, that the government of Netanyahu is living on the continuing war. The day that this war and conflict would end, Benjamin Netanyahu would go to court, and the whole shaky coalition will collapse. That's why Netanyahu is trying to mount another war, to extend the spot of tension to another area, like south of Lebanon, like Syria, like he would go to the south and hit Yemen, living in tension, and would gather the Israeli public opinion around him. So his strategy is very clear and very well known, that ongoing tension is the lifeline of his government. And there is no voice higher than the voice of the battle. And it is an Arab saying in the Arab politics, لا صوت يعلو فوق صوت المعركة. He is employing the same tactic here. I do see Netanyahu employing the same tactic, and he is unfortunately very successful in doing it up to now.
But the Israeli inside, with the families of hostages demonstrating against what's going on and accusing the Israeli cabinet for being the main reason behind losing their beloved ones, this is another source of pressure which cannot be denied or neglected.
That's a pressure. But it's not the only factor in shaping the Israeli politics. I do believe it's a very strong lobby which is trying to put pressure on Netanyahu to get a deal. But Netanyahu seems is not, very, very serious about getting a swift deal, because in the last 10 months, he, negotiation after negotiation, from Cairo to Doha to Rome to wherever, and each time he's changing the rule of the game. He's adding more conditions. So he's not a person who is really serious even to save the life of his fellow Israeli. He's a person who is extending the suffering and trying to get the maximum political pressure.
So, sir, you are telling me that the current round of negotiations, which is taking place even as we speak in the Italian capital in Rome, as we do have some news that mediators from Egypt, the United States, Qatar, are to meet with the Israeli CIA president or chief there, or at least some of their top executives, and they are going to continue discussing a way to reach an end to this bloodshed and to continue what Biden started with his proposal, which was presented by the end of last May. This round of talks is not going to be more lucky than the previous ones, or maybe with the current changes we are witnessing, whether on the American side or the pressures inside Israel, maybe we can find some light by the end of the tunnel.
Well, we have been hearing this since several negotiations, that the gap is narrowing. We are nearing a deal, and we are trying to get the negotiator. They are the same persons. The only difference is the capital. They just gather in Cairo, in Doha, in Paris, and the latest round is in Rome. So they are changing the place. But did they change the mentality? Did they change the tactique? Will they accept to end the bloodshed and go serious about having an exchange for hostages and start a total ceasefire and ease the Palestinian suffering, which is going since 10 months? Would they do this? As I said, Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to gain time. Just trying to gain time. He is not serious about anything.
Meaning that we are going to continue watching the very same scenes, despite the fact that we are all knowing now that, as I said in my intro, the real image of Israel is now in front of the whole world, very clear, and there are many countries which already admitted Palestine as a state, despite the fact that this is non-binding or things which until the moment does not have any positive impact on the ground, but it's still something which I cannot skip, or I cannot neglect that it took place. True?
Yes, you start your question by saying the image of Israel. Do he cares about his image? Do he cares about the image of Israel? He has a condition, and he spelled it out very clearly, that he will not stop the hostility unless he destroys Hamas. He destroyed the military and the economic and the political presence in Hamas, and the Israeli occupation will continue, and new ideas are just floating that he will not accept the return of the PLO, or the Palestinian Authority to govern Gaza, which is the elected and recognized body from the Palestinian and from the international community according to international resolutions. This person is changing the rule of the game each 5 minutes. So do you trust him, or do you think that he is really serious about reaching a solution? I do not, so I'm not very optimistic actually.
So, sir, you do not see anything which can change the policy of the occupation force or the policy of Benjamin Netanyahu. He is going to continue what he started, because if he stopped, he is going to go to jail. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, of course. I say, if he stops, he is going to court for mismanagement, for corruption, and the whole coalition is going to fall, because it's a very shaky coalition between the far right, the ultra-Orthodox, and this coalition is gathered by a self-interest. And that's it.
And that's it. One final question, sir, regarding the Egyptian role as you see it, as I think now we are still from day one until today, the country which is showing support in deeds, not in words, to the Palestinian people, whether it comes to the humanitarian aid, whether it's by receiving Palestinians, whether as guests, I'm not going to say refugees, or Palestinian injured who are being treated in our hospitals, whether in El Arish or all over Egypt. How do you see this, in addition, of course, to our diplomatic efforts to try to find a solution?
You know, from the outset of the crisis, we were the first to call for international community in the new administrative capital. We gathered the leader of the world to try and find a solution for the Palestinian problem. 70% of the whole aid was coming through Egypt from the former Rafah border crossing, or from the airdrop, or from other key points between the Israelis and the Palestinian border. The Egyptian government was in the forefront to open our airports, our seaports, and our land ports to the international aid, and to try to send the international aid to alleviate the suffering for the Palestinians. But the Israelis have occupied the border crossing of Rafah, and even lately destroyed the crossing. So it has really hampered to send the aid in a proper manner and organized manner to the Palestinians. You know, since 2005, the Rafah crossing was the only lifeline of the Palestinian and the only crossing with the Palestinian to the outside world. And through this crossing, most of the Palestinians were leaving to go abroad, to go to study, to go for treatment. Most of the essential aid were flowing to Gaza Strip through the point of Rafah. But after the destruction of Rafah and the border crossing, I mean, it's really a challenge how we will actually make aid to the Palestinians.
Let's cross our fingers, sir, that tomorrow is going, and pray that tomorrow is going to be a better day, and that all this bloodshed is going to have an end, and all those Palestinians are going to return to their homes and to have their legitimate right only to live before anything else. We were very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Ayman Mousharafa, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Right after the short break, I'm going to turn back with more, so stay tuned.